All right, so update. We got the driver's side header in. Had to modify this bracket a little bit. That's, I guess, for the power steering pump and maybe for a different alternator. There's no bolt hole in the back of this alternator for it. But it's mounted back on there. And that header's in, nice tightened down, has the gasket in, it's got all the bolts in. I have not put spark plugs in. I'm going to do that once I get this side out. And for this, we're going to take off this intake housing, whatever you want to call it. We're going to take all this off of here. I'll probably end up just getting a whole new intake for it anyway. This one is old and dirty, and I've debated on putting a snorkel in. And so we're going to get this out of the way so we can get to those headers, or those exhaust manifolds easier. And by the looks of it, I might have to take this dipstick out of the way. I don't know, I'm going to see if I can do it without taking the dipstick out of the way. And we will find out, and I will keep you posted, and I'll be back shortly. But let's get this rolling. Alright, so this truck has been off-roading quite a few times with me. And this is the air intake. I just took it off and I heard this rattling and I was like, what in the world is that? Look at this! That's a chunk of dried mud from being that deep in a mud hole. And I'm very surprised it doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like any mud ever made it up this far. But you can definitely tell that there's been mud all down in this corner under the battery, and that's where my one rusted hole is in the front fender up there. It clearly must have been sitting up there for a long time. All this mud just must have sat there, got wet, or stayed wet. Obviously it's mud. Probably stayed wet and held some moisture there for a while, and it must have just kind of rotted that away. And I'm surprised that there's still a chunk of dirt sitting in there. That mud hole that I got stuck in, I got stuck real bad in. I'm sure I'll share that story sometime. That was like 9 years ago when I first got the truck, and I've only been in one other mud hole that deep, and that was still like 6 or 7 years ago. But alright, whatever, we're just gonna get back to it. We're gonna keep taking the rest of this intake off, and we'll get those plug wires pulled and get the exhaust manifold off, hopefully without having to remove the dipstick. If we do, oh well, but we are gonna keep on keeping on. Alright, so we have both headers on. They are officially on and done and tightened down. And there's the passenger side, and there's the driver's side, and all of the hard part is done. For the driver's side, we have to take off the bracket that goes to the back of the power steering pump and possibly to the back of the alternator, but mine is not to touch the alternator. And we had to take off some heat shields and stuff, and those were staying off. And on the passenger side, we had to remove the air intake, which is going to stay off the truck because I want to get a new one for it anyway. Still trying to decide if I'm going to do a snorkel or if I'm just going to, for now, I'll probably end up just getting one of those classic chrome air filters for the top. And then here on the passenger side, I actually had to remove the dipstick for the oil. And the only annoying part about this, I got this from Jegs, and I've gotten pretty much everything on this truck from Jegs. Shout out to Jegs. They have been helpful and awesome. If I have a question, I can send a message and they get back pretty quick. But the only downside, let me see if I can get in here so you can see this. There's a bracket right here for the dipstick, and the hole on the header doesn't line up with the hole for the bolt to go in for that bracket. There was enough of a gap back between the two to where I don't think it's going to cause a bad exhaust leak, but it'll be tight enough to be able to hold that dipstick in place. I mean, it's definitely not going to shake loose or anything like that. Everything's cranked down nice and tight. The only thing that I've left to do is to throw in my new spark plugs, which are right here. We got some, just, you know, the good NGKs from Advanced, and we're gonna throw those in. I won't be able to start the truck tonight because it's like 10:30 and a lot of my neighbors go to sleep early and I don't really want to annoy them, and I'm ready for bed too because I get up at like 4:30 in the morning for work. So I'm gonna get these spark plugs in, and I'm gonna call it a night, and tomorrow afternoon we are going to fire this bad boy up and we are gonna hear this Chevy 350 with the 3-inch collection just right out of the headers. I don't have any pipes for it yet to finish the exhaust. Still trying to figure out if I'm gonna take it to an exhaust shop and have them do it, or if I'm gonna try to find a kit to do myself. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is that we have the headers on, and we are gonna be ready to fire it up tomorrow when I get home from work, which I'm super pumped for. So we'll see you tomorrow. Peace! Got a fire going in here because it's like 38 degrees outside and dropping right now, which doesn't feel normal for April, almost May, really. Wow, geez. Anyway, got good news and we've got bad news. Good news is that both headers are in, all the spark plugs are in, and everything's pretty much hooked back up. Well, minus the rest of the exhaust. We have the headers in, and they look pretty good, not that the rest of the engine does, so what does it matter right now? Bad news. Thing that I did not think about, I did not pay attention to, I don't even know if it said this on Jeg's website. Driver side header hits the oil filter down low, where right before it collects to a 3-inch. And I didn't pay attention to that because when I put it in, I was able to start every bolt by finger without any pressure against it. And so I started all of my bolts together before I tightened any of them down. So I guess they started easy and that was fine because it must have been kicked out a little. And when I tightened it down, it pushed up against that oil filter, and I put the last... Alright, let's try this again. Sorry, SD card was full, had to delete some old videos. Anyway, I dropped my socket and I reached down here to grab it, and look at that. I got oil dripping. Oh look, knobby tires. Oil dripping right off the edge of the filter. That header is just pushing it just enough to make it just barely seep oil out of the top. And I did not pay attention when I ordered it to see if I needed to get an oil filter relocation kit, which I'm going to be ordering now because I don't want to try to put a shallow filter on it. I still want the right amount of oil going through there. So I'm going to order one of those kits, but the headers are on. I really want to start it. I really want to hear it because I'm sure it sounds a heck of a lot nicer now. And yeah, I mean, that's it for this week probably. I'm gonna have to order it online. I don't think I can go to a store anywhere near here that'll have that. So it'll be a couple days, but that'll probably be next week videos, relocating the oil filter. If anybody has a good idea of where to put it, that's out of the way, convenient to change, and won't get hit if I go do some light off-roading, then hit me up. Let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions, then also let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it. And if you are enjoying following along, or just think I'm weird or goofy, then subscribe to the channel so you can see more of that. And we'll see you next week, probably with an oil filter relocation kit. And maybe prepping to paint. I don't know if we're gonna get to that this week or not, but we do wanna repaint the truck, and we will see what happens. Boom. Roll, exit, B-roll.